In this video, we're going to continue to work with After Effects. We're going to continue to import and to use the project panel. So I want to show you briefly here the previous lesson and where we got at. So we use images mainly. So in this video, I'm going to use more videos. And we're going to talk about some parameters that are really important for videos. And again, we're going to explain more about the project panel right here. So we saw that we can drag and drop from directly the project panel inside the workspace here in the composition. So right now you can see I'm using another a similar image, and I can also click and drag with the left mouse to position this differently, and we're going to talk about transformation more. I can hit the delete key to delete it. I can also go back and forward using Ctrl Z to go back. Also here, edit, Ctrl Z, and to undo, and we can use Ctrl Shift Z to redo, so to go forward in time. And we also have history here that we can check to go back and forward. Now, if I use, let's see here, the logo twice, like in this case, and let's like drag more logos in here. So you can see now I dragged this like 4 times. Now you see that this is up here is going to tell me that this is used 4 times. Instead, if I select this image here, you see it's used 1 time. And then I have a missing file here, which is not being used. So it's going to tell you basically everything here, all the information that you need. And this was a video, as you can see. So we have also information about the video, the FPS, so frame per second, time code, so the duration, the resolution or size. These are the most important information, and millions of colors. This is the color depth, so how many colors are in there. And we already talked about colors and channels in the previous video. We also saw that we can substitute an asset here. So if I make more copies of that asset, like I did just by clicking and dragging, and by the way, you can also click and drag directly here in the timeline, as we already saw. So if I create more copies and then I want to change this source file right here. So if I right click and I go to replace footage with the file, and I'm going to use just another type of file here. So let me just go to change the logo to something else like this orange. You can see that all the logos will be substituted. So these are like instances of a same source, that is this one right here. And again, I can go back hitting Ctrl Z. And another thing I want to show you is that I can drag and drop files directly from the folder. So if I select, for example, this image, I can just click and insert it right here if I want it inside my project, or I can click directly in the workspace here, if in the composition, if I want it directly here. Now make sure that you are controlling here the layers. This is like Photoshop, so you have like the top layer that will be overriding all the others, and then we go down. So make sure that you have the correct arrangement here. So if I click, I can drag this down. So the more I drag it down, the more it's going to go on the back there behind those logos. So it's really important to manage the files and the assets both in the composition as a placement inside the Cartesian space, the X and epsilon, and also here in the timeline. Now let's see some more feature about the project panel. So I want to expand this a little bit. And if you go on these 3 lines, you can undock a panel. When you undock a panel, you can see you can place it anywhere. And if you're working with multiple screens, you can use other screens and like free your space in here, and just use the main screen with no panels. So if I just close this, let me just expand again like this, and I want to close also these other panels right here. So I'm going to close panel, click on the little icon there, close all the panels. There you go. So perhaps this could be, and also this one here, I can close it with the X. So this could be like another workspace that I can use, and perhaps I can like undock all the others and place it in other screens. And to save an interface, to face a workspace that we like, we can go up here and we can save as a new workspace. So we can call this like whatever we want. I'm going to call it JBD. Say OK. And you can see it's going to go there. Now, if you click here, you can also edit the workspace from here, or you can go to Window, Workspace. You can find the workspaces here. This is the new one we just created. And you can reset anytime this workspace if you make changes, or you can save the changes that you do on this workspace. So for example, I don't know, let's just get rid of also the timeline. And that's going to be a change. So if I go here, I can save the changes to this workspace, or I can save as another one. So save as a new workspace. And then you can go to the reset to the save layout anytime, the one that you saved. And we can also go to edit workspace, and here, if you want, you can arrange differently the workspaces. So you can click here and place this one on top right here. So it's going to be the first one that is going to appear here. And then I have the default. And also here, I want to reset. So I have the original state here, the factory state. And that's it. This is just to show you that you can also customize a little bit your workspace. By the way, if you want, you can also click and drag these panels around. So if you place it in the middle, it's going to substitute the current one. So I'm just going to go to reset. And then another thing you can do is place it on the side like this. So it's going to go on next to this other panel. Or we can just click and drag again with left mouse and place it up here. So it's going to go like on the same place, but overlapping like this. And then, for example, you can place it at the bottom or at the right. Again, you can substitute it right here, or you can place it with a green line. You can place it just, at the extreme right or extreme left. So it's not difficult once you play a little bit around with it. So if I want to place it in the original position, I will place it, well, not here, but like here. So overlapping. Usually projects and effects are like these overlapping. Or if you think you kind of lost your way, just go here and reset to the saved layout. Now in this video, I also want to show you how to import from the web. So there are websites that are going to give you like free assets, like photos and videos. One of these is Pexels, which is really popular. And you can search for anything you like here. Just type whatever you want. And I type, for example, like winter dog. And it's going to give me like a lot of different assets here that I can pick. So just decide the one that you like the most. And when you're happy with that, you just click here and go here, download. And if you want, there are different formats. Now some videos, they have more than this resolution, but this is going to be enough. Otherwise, I can download it smaller. So I click here. If I want, I can donate to the author. And I'm going to save it here in my Pexels folder, save. And you can also edit this in Canva, which is another software similar to, well, it's not a software actually, it's also a website. So you can edit directly in the website, like similar to Photoshop essentially. So you can explore also similar videos, and there are also other video guides dedicated to Pexels if you're interested. So you can continue to download and save more files. Now you see that these are MP4. MP4 is a type of format in video. So you will find out that MP4 is probably the most popular when you download videos from the web or in general when you create videos. But let's go more into depth with this. Also, I want to talk again about the frame rate. Frame rate is a really important parameter. So frame rate means how many frames are in 1 second. So for example, you have 60 FPS or frame per second, which means that you have 60 frames inside 1 second of animation or video. If you have 24, you only have 24 images in 1 second. So what does this mean? It means that this is less quality, less fluid, but it's going to be also less heavy than 60 FPS. Now, there are also problems of motion blur and other like quality and other issues when you go in lower FPS. But you can, in general, if you go lower than 24, you probably start to see the passage from one frame to the other. So 24 still um, uh, guarantees the fluidity of the video. So don't go lower than 24 if you want like fluidity. You can, if you go to 10 FPS or 8, you probably have like the old movies like Lumiere first footages in the early 19th century where they have like few frames and you could see like if it were like series of images one after the other. Now you have the format, which is in our case MP4, but you also have AVI or MKV or FLV. So these are all like formats. Now a format is gonna compress the video in order for you to play it in a standard video player. And then you have the codec, which usually is H.264, which is the most popular. But you also have other codecs. Now, a codec means, well, it's kind of a short word for encoding and decoding. So basically, you have a language in which the video will be encoded, and then you have a player that can decode that and play it back. This is kind of a really short explanation, but if you want to know more, just go there and go more in depth with that. Now, there are raw files, either for images or for videos. Now, a raw file is a non-compressed file, which means it's going to have the top quality, but it's going to be really, really heavy. So most of the time, we're not going to work with raw. But if you have a camera, if you work with your smartphone or camera, you probably have the option to have a raw footage, which is going to be really, really heavy. And then you need to export it and compress it in something less heavier. So you're going to choose a compression format and also a codec. So again, there are different examples of using raw files and compressed files or uncompressed files. Now you have another option when using graphics, which are vector graphics. Now, vector graphics means scalable vector graphics. It means they can be scaled and they will never lose quality, and they maintain a low size, a low heaviness. So the raster are composed by pixels. We talked about pixels previously. The vector instead are composed by vectors. So this is why they can be scaled up and scaled down as many times as we want. They will never lose quality. Instead, if we scale or zoom an image or a video with pixels, well, sooner or less we're going to see the pixels somewhere there. Now we can also import audio files, and also audio files, they have different formats, and we have also different website when you download free sound. I've chosen for this example the Mixit, and you have video, music, sound effects. So I decided to download this one here. So just click on the little button here and download your audio file and just save it. And you will see that this is going to be MP3. So MP3 is just audio, it's not video. And if you want more quality, you can choose the WAV, which is more quality. So some website, they're going to give you both, some only one format. And you can test. Usually you can preview sound effects or audio files when you are on those websites, and then you can download them. Now, if you want, there are also converters on the web that will let you convert from MP3 to WAV or vice versa. And you can do this also with videos. You can do this also with Adobe Media Encoder or with After Effects itself. You can use it as a converter. Okay, now that we saw all these, we can go back here and just create a new project right away, which is going to be our lesson 4. And we're going to start by bringing in the footage that we got from Pexels. So I'm going to navigate in my Pexels folder, and again, I can click and drag. Now, if I don't have a composition yet, I cannot bring this directly in here like this. It's going to go in the project. So I need to go first in the project, and then I can drag it here, and it's going to create a composition. Now, the composition that creates is going to have the same exact parameters of the video. So it's going to take those parameters from the video. So it's going to be, as you can see here, Full HD, and then it's going to be the same duration with the same FPS, so same for frame per second, with millions of colors. We already talked about color depth, which is right now 8 bit, which means 256 for each channel. And then we have also the codec and all the other information. Now, also when we export, if I go here, so if I want to convert or reinterpret the footage and I want to re-export it, you can see here we're using this codec. You can see it right here. We can also change it if you want. From the project panel, we can also see if we have audio or not. In this case, we don't have audio. Let me show you how it's going to look like when I have audio. So if I go to import and import like a lesson that I have recorded for this course, there you go. Now you can see that this is going to have this audio sign right here, and it's also going to tell me about the frequency and the audio depth, and in this case is stereo. And also, if I click and drag this directly in my composition, you can see the audio icon that can be turned on and off. And I can also like put this on top. Let's see what's going to happen. There you go. So you can see this is big enough to cover all of the rest. So I'm just going to delete, just to show you that you can have like audio and video all together, or you can like separate them. So in this case, I can bring in the audio on a separate track, or I can bring like a music or some audio for sound effects and things like that. So I downloaded one from the website that I showed you before, and then I'm going to go to import file. And of course, I can also do from here, I can do right click, import file, and I can select the audio file, which I stored in the mix kit in this case. That's the file right there. So I can import it, and there it is. So this is MP3, and that's the size and the duration. So all the information that we still see here is the link, and that's it. So I'm just gonna click and drag it again, or directly in the composition, or here in the timeline. And then I can position this. So you see the audio track lasts more than the composition length or the video length, because also the length of the composition was inherited by the video composition. So if I now play this with the spacebar, you can hear the sound. So we always use a video so far and started from a footage, but let me just delete everything here if I want to make things more clear. And if I use new composition, or if I do here right click new composition or composition new composition, which is basically the same thing, it's going to ask me first some parameters that I want to use for my composition. So let's call these like lesson 04. And then I can go in the basic parameters here. So I can say, okay, I want a composition that is going to be 24 frames per second, or 25 or 30, and it's going to be full HD. Or I can change this and make it 4K or 8K or 2K. So you have a lot of presets you can use. In this case, I'm going to use the first one right here. Now, if you want, you can also customize the width and the height. So let's unlock the aspect ratio, which is now 16:9, which it's this proportion here of the width and height. So let's make this like 2000 for the width, 1000 for the height. So this means that I have a proportion of 2 to 1, and basically the width is twice the height. It's 2 times the height, and I can lock it again. So this is going to be a custom preset. By the way, you can also save your custom preset if you want. So I'm going to call this like JBD again, so I can always recall it. And then the square pixels will be fine, square pixels. Otherwise, you can change it from PAL and NTSC and so on. Frame rate is going to be 24, just as the one that we started from, or I can change it. You can see you can go like lower, and that's going to create like old movies effect, movies like from the first years of the 19th centuries, or you can make it really like high quality in terms of fluidity, which is going to be 120 frames. And with this number of frames, I can like slow down the time without losing fluidity, without losing quality. So you can use that if you are planning to do like some slow motion effect or things like that. I'm gonna leave it to 24. Resolution will be full, and we will see also later about resolution. You can see that here I can define the length. So this is gonna be like 30 seconds. Let's say I want to do like 1 minute, 30 seconds, or I can do like 1 minute, 30 seconds, 24 frames, which means that it's going to be 31 seconds because each 24 frame, which is the last one here, is going to be an extra second. So if I want precisely 1 minute 30, I need to place 0, 0. And this is the hour. So hours, minutes, seconds, frames. You can also change the background if you want. You can select a color. We talked about colors in the previous video, and there you go. You can see the HSB values, so hue, saturation, and brightness, and then you have RGB values from 0 to 255, and then you have the hexadecimal code right here. So once you're happy, you can say okay. You can also use the picker and like pick a color from the interface here. Okay, so now this is our background, and this is our new file. Now in the zoom, let's place like 50% so we can see it completely. And now let me bring inside the same exact file, multimedia file that you just saw. And in this case, I can just click and drag it inside here. There you go. And I can also like place more directly inside the composition or the timeline. You can see one is longer than the other. And now this is the length of the timeline. It is longer than before. You can zoom in, zoom out. You can see the extent. Every time you create a new composition, well, not a new project, but composition, new composition, it's going to ask you to define these parameters, and you will find them here. So I can create another one, for example, of 2 minutes 30 and make it longer. And then you have advanced, but we're going to see this later on. And also 3D, but we're going to talk about 3D later. So there you go. So I have another composition now. It's going to be 2 minutes 30. So again, I'm just gonna delete this. This was just to show you. Now, another thing I can do is to bring in Photoshop. So let me just increase the size of the project panel. I'm gonna go to File, Import, File, and just go in my Photoshop folder where I have my lessons about the Photoshop software that you can see also in the channel. And I'm gonna get like one of these lessons where I created some animation. You can do animation in Photoshop, even though it's kind of a simple animation, you can still do it. Now you have some options here: footage, composition, retain layer sizes, or composition, like more generic. So footage, let's see what's gonna happen if I do footage. So again, you can change it once more here. So I'm gonna do footage, and you can merge all the layers, or you can choose one layer of the ones that you have in the Photoshop file. And then you can merge layer styles, so you can edit the styles in After Effects, or you can like ignore them, the styles. And also the footage dimension could have the layer size or the document size of Photoshop. So we have many options essentially. So let's leave this to layer size. Let's leave the merge layer styles into footage, and also merge layers. So you can see it's going to bring only one file, which is going to be everything. So everything will be like baked into this Photoshop file. So let me just bring it on top. So this is like, a static layer essentially. And that's it. So I'm just going to delete this, and just going to go back and do it again. So File, Import, File. And by the way, before we move on, you can also export for Photoshop. So if you right click, you can do a new Adobe Photoshop file. So you can save this as Photoshop basically. So let me go back, import. So you can import, export essentially. So I'm going to go back to import. I'm going to select again a lesson here just to show you some different options. I want to go for the 19 lesson. And this time I want to do composition, and I want to use the editable layer styles, so I can edit the layer styles. So this is kind of the more flexible. So I'm going to go OK. And you see that now we have a composition right here. So if I double click on this composition, it's going to open that composition. And inside that composition, we have some layers. So I can turn them on and off and see all the different layers. I also have like vector graphics, raster graphics, combination of everything, text, and so on. So I can reuse this now in After Effects. And I can copy and paste these tracks from one composition to the other. And I can see here there's also a folder. So if I expand this folder, in here you have all the single tracks divided. And that's another way we can import. Now you can also create your own folder. If you go down here, you can click here. It's going to create a folder. So let's call this new folder. So perhaps I can store these 2 videos in this new folder, and I can open that or close it anytime. So again, it's for management reason. Now also you can click and also hold the Control or Shift key to multiple select here. Click and drag directly inside the folder to create a folder out of that selection. So there's going to be like compositions. And there we go. We have the composition all there. So you can arrange, organize better, you can manage better your files. Now let's do one final import with Photoshop. Let's do this time, I'm gonna do, well, first I'm gonna choose the file, and then I'm gonna do composition, retain layer size, and let's do also merge layer styles into footage. And you can read here all the information, by the way, so to understand better. Now I'm going to show you other 2 commands, and then we're going to stop the lesson. So first of all, if you click and drag on a video, so you can see this is, let me expand this. I want to see the frame rate right here if I find it. So usually I need to scroll under this. So this is 25 frames per second, but my composition is 24 frames per second. So you can also reinterpret some footage. So if you click and drag, you can bring it down here, you can reinterpret, or you can right click and interpret here, interpret footage. So again, you have many ways, you can access these many ways. So let's interpret. And you can change, you can use the frame rate from the file, or you can conform to the frame rate of 24 frames per second. So that's going to change your footage, and you can do other changes there, like the time code from file, and you can, if you have alpha channel, you can work with the alpha channel. You can change the pixel aspect ratio. You can check the color here and preserve RGB, and you can interpret other stuff if you want, but let's keep it simple. So I'm gonna say okay, and that's gonna be now a reinterpreted footage. So if I go here, I can see that now it has 24 frames per second. And then you can click on this little rocket launcher, rocket thing, and that's basically the project settings. So these are all the things you can do. If you click here, you can go again in the project settings in the color area, and that's it. So these are all the buttons that you have here at your disposal. And you can also go to a file and project settings down here. So you can change the GPU acceleration if you want. You can customize this. The time display style, you can change it. You can use the media source, or use frames here, feet plus frames, or just frames. So you have all these options basically. And if you want to start from 0 or 1, and then color, you can manage the color here, and the bit depth. So the color depth, which is now 8-bit, which is going to be fine, but you can also increase it, and other stuff here like LUT, and you know, these are all advanced features. Sample rate for the audio, and well, expression, all advanced stuff. So that's just to show you some, other things you can do with the project panel. And I guess this will be all for this lesson. If you enjoyed, please subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support us, join the channel as a supporter. And that's it. So thanks for watching. Check the other courses and guides in the channel. See you in the next video.